Something I want to talk to you guys about today is avoiding selling fees when you go to sell your investments. What's up, guys? My name is Riley, aka Pokemon Trader. I have been buying, selling, collecting, and investing in Pokemon since the 90s, and as an adult, I got back into it around the year 2014. And then around 2020, I kind of started getting into Modern, and that's what I do mostly today. I sold all my WotC stuff, and I just have the Modern stuff, some of what is behind me here. Back to the topic at hand, avoiding selling fees. Obviously, there's only one way to really avoid any fees at all, and that's in-person deals like Facebook Marketplace, what used to be Craigslist back in 2014, and that no longer exists, obviously, but you can still do it on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe there's other sites that people use to meet up and make sales. But on top of that, you also have Discord groups, Facebook groups that you can join, and I've sold plenty on there. There's also Reddit groups that you can sell on, and especially once you've been established and you've made some smaller sales or trades, people begin to trust you and you can sell a lot easier. But as we all know, eBay and TCG Player are the big dogs in the market. I heard a statistic recently that said those two together were about 85-90% of all the sales that happen for trading cards. So that's not just Pokemon, but includes Pokemon. So knowing that those are the two big dogs on the market, it's pretty difficult to get away from selling on eBay and TCG Player, especially high-end items. And especially if you live in a rural area like me, selling a $2,000 box of Evolving Skies is pretty difficult to local people. So the reason this video I think is important is because it might be bringing light to something that a lot of newer collectors and sellers are not aware of. And investors, right? Oh, I'm gonna hold for 10 years. Well, sometimes you have to sell. Sometimes you just need the money. That happened to me recently. I was dedicated to holding all of this, and I have more in my storage area, for years. And I've had some of it for years, of course, already. But I just had to sell. You can see an empty case up there of Evolving Skies. I had to sell it recently for, a family emergency type situation, and it is what it is. I knew the prices were going up to $2,500, but I had to sell at about $2,200 anyways. So despite what we tell ourselves and what we hope to happen, sometimes you just have to sell. And with that being the case, you need to know how to do it and where to go. And eBay and TCG Player tend to be the safest, the easiest, and the fastest. And that is something in my years of doing this that can't be overstated. The simplicity of just listing an item on TCG Player or eBay and then not thinking about it again until I get a notification or an email that says I sold it is priceless. The amount of dealings and conversations and messages you have to have with people on Facebook Marketplace is exhausting. And for me, I've got kids, I've got a wife, I run a business, so it's the shirt I'm wearing today, and I also work a full-time job as a nurse. So I don't have a lot of time to be just constantly going back and forth and meeting up with people, and then they try to haggle. The simplicity is nice. So selling on eBay and TCG Player is a necessity, and knowing how to reduce your selling fees is important. And the way to reduce your fees to, I'm not kidding you, 5% or less is pretty simple. First, you're gonna wanna get some sales under your belt if you're new. So open up an eBay account, open up a TCG Player account, and just make some small sales, like single cards, bulk cards even, just something that will get you some reviews. And this is really more important on TCG Player because your seller level is going to be more important than what it would be on eBay. So let's get specific about each of those sides. Start with eBay. Pretty much across the board for collectibles, it tends to be about 13.5%. And that's not including shipping, any taxes that you might have to pay after the fact, as well as the possibility of people scamming you or just stealing the cards. eBay, as we all know, always sides with the buyer. Now, in years past, I've always enjoyed using eBay. It's always been pretty good to me. And I've seemed to run into every scam possible, but they're pretty few and far between. But the problem with eBay is the high fees. As we all know, FeeBay is what it's become. One way around that on eBay is to use a consignor. Find a trusted consignor. The two that I've used multiple times and trust highly would be Probstein123 and Z&G Emporium. I've used both of them. And quick side note, I got this from Z&G Emporium back when he was just a lowly YouTuber like the rest of us. And this was some kind of a art raffle that I won when he hit 10K subs, as you can see there. So the one I would suggest the most would be Probstein, because he's bigger than Z&G Emporium. And if you are selling items $1,000 or above, your entire fees will be 5%. You cannot beat that anywhere unless you're getting 100% of market price on Facebook Marketplace, which is unlikely. Most of the time when you sell in person, people want at least 90%, maybe 85%, knocking off what fees would be for you to sell online. So probably 6 months ago, I sent off a massive box to Probstein and sold all my items. One of the things I sold was a Brilliant Stars booster box case, and it actually hit the all-time high sale for that period, which is pretty cool. First time that's ever happened to me. And I sell a lot. So 5% fees on eBay is the best you're going to do, and the only way you're going to do that is to sell through Probstein or Z&G Emporium or some other consignor that you trust. Now, the one that I'm a little bit more excited about and am newer to than eBay, I've been using eBay since the 90s, since I was a kid, is TCG Player. And the reason for that is, again, your seller level. If you get to seller level 3, which only requires, I believe it's 11 sales, you can reduce your fee to a maximum of $50 per item. So the way to do this on both sites is to only sell items that are $1,000 or greater. Now, that might not be possible for everybody. I have some PSA slabs sitting in the corner over there that are definitely not worth $1,000, and I'm just gonna have to find another avenue, Facebook Marketplace, whatever I can, or just eat the fees if I have to. So that box I sold of Evolving Skies, I actually sold on TCG Player. I sold it for about $2,200, as I said before, and my fees were close to $100. That is about 2%. There is nothing like that anywhere in the world. Selling items for $1,000 or greater on TCG Player and only having to pay $50 plus, I believe it's a 2.9% processing fee. So for that item, it ended up being about $100, like I said. And you can't beat that anywhere. Please give me a like and subscribe, guys. Leave a comment. I really enjoy reading the comments and engaging with you guys. I don't actually have any friends who collect Pokemon, so it's nice to actually talk to people about Pokemon besides my wife and kids.